There are a whole lot of really powerful secret items hidden in Oblivion, and it remains that way in Oblivion Remastered. How about the Bands of Quang Lao? These things give you 25 whole points towards hand-to-hand combat, which is absolutely bananas for a piece of armor that you can get immediately after starting the game. Well, technically. Come over to the arena, a very good location to check out early on anyways, since it's probably the best way to make some money early on, as well as level up any combat skill. But head on over towards the right-hand side before entering the actual arena, where you will find 2 NPCs sparring. If you take a minute and watch those guys spar, you'll level up your unarmed skill by 5 points, but off behind them in the corner, if you hide behind the pillar, you can lockpick the nearby crate to grab the Bands of Quang Lao. This is the only way to get this piece of armor, so if you're going with a nice peaceful build and are someone who doesn't resort to thievery, sadly you cannot grab them. But if lockpicking that chest feels like too much work, since I think it's a very hard lockpick and I'd be there all day long trying to use an ordinary lockpick for it, you should grab what is possibly the most useful item in the game, the skeleton key. An unbreakable lockpick with unlimited uses. So if you think, oh great, now I have an unbreakable lockpick, but I still need to spend 3 hours picking some of these locks, think again, because the skeleton key allows you to spam the auto attempt option until it works. This makes what is possibly the hardest lockpick minigame into one of the easiest. To get the skeleton key, the sad part is you need to be level 10. This is when you can come all the way down to the southern portion of the map in Cyrodiil, in Blackwood, just north of Leyawiin, to the Shrine of Nocturnal. Speak to the shrine and then she will send you on a quest to find her Eye of Nocturnal. Now you could follow the quest. If you don't want any spoilers, just go ahead and do this quest yourself. But what we could do is just go straight to the Eye without having to do any part of the investigation. Just head down to the coast at the southern portion of the map at Topol Bay's Tidewater Cave. There are some enemies here like a Calperclin troll as well as some rats, but I'm just walking through here so you can easily see the way that I'm going. Just head inside where you'll be like ankles deep in the water and then take 2 more lefts. And you'll find a section of the water that you can dive under to find yourself the Eye of Nocturnal. After you grab that, you can return to the Shrine of Nocturnal, where you can give her the eye, and in turn, she will give you the skeleton key. I wish you could get this thing earlier, but I guess it would be pretty overpowered, because even waiting till level 10 makes it just insane. One of the best bows in Oblivion is Frostworm's bow, and this remains possibly the best bow up until you get to around level 20 or so. Up until that point, it is the highest damage dealing bow, and also does frost damage. The thing is, you would probably never come across this thing unless you knew what you were looking for. To get it, you want to go towards basically the Skyrim border, the Jarl Mountains, and find the location called Dive Rock. And you're really going to need to put those Skyrim legs to use to get up here because it's a pretty steep mountain. But once you make your way up there, you'll find a tent and like a campsite, Agnar's campsite, as well as his journal, and a couple of repair hammers inside of a bag. Now just head directly east, and then sort of like southeast, you should see a frost troll. What we need to do is give that guy the business, take him out. It could be a pretty tough fight if you're under-leveled or under-equipped and playing at a higher difficulty. Pretty much when you're fighting anybody in the mountains though, you want to be on top of the hill and leave them at the bottom because you walk slow up the hill, but enemies also are very slow when coming uphill. But yeah, after you take out the frost troll, you can find the unique Frostworm bow with the frost damage enchantment, one of the best weapons in the game. Once you get to around level 20, or I guess really level 19, at level 19, you should acquire the Hatred's Soul Bow. The reason you want to wait as long as possible for this is because just like in the original, most weapons scale to your level. So if you find it at a certain level, say you find this bow for example at level 19, it has the most amount of possible damage. You can't get the Hatred's Soul Bow anyways until you complete the Dagon Shrine quest, where you will then get a gate to Oblivion open up in Coral, or just outside of Coral. As soon as you get inside of here, do not go straight, take an immediate right and then travel along the path here. And then if you come towards this broken wall, you're going to have to leap over the lava onto the next portion of land. Now this used to be a lot harder in the original. It also depends how high you've leveled up things like your athletics or acrobatics. But with the addition to sprint in this game, I think it makes it a lot easier. You just strafe jump over. Now just follow along the rest of the path here, avoiding the traps, and sort of off onto the right hand side. You can get a nice overview of the lava where you can drop down and find an entrance to the fume vaults. This thing is extremely hard to find, or at least if you weren't watching a video on it. But as you make your way down, you should find the door to the Embers of Hatred. Now, if you're playing on a harder difficulty, the fights in here might be kind of difficult because you have two Daedric enemies, the Dremora Hatred Keepers. I think I was playing on normal here, so it's not crazy difficult, but take them out, grab their keys as well as the Daedra hearts. I wouldn't leave those behind. And then head into the next door to the Halls of Dark Hate. Now, the rest of the way from here is a pretty linear path. Just head on up the stairs where you'll find a blood fountain. You might want to grab that if that fight was tough for you so you can heal up. But then just take the door to the Embers of Hatred. This is where you need the other key. Head on up the rest of the way and use the ruined portal. The portal will take you up to the very top where you will find the Hatred's soul bow within the forbidden sack. I would never sell this thing, but it is worth a ton of money. But on top of all of the damage it deals, I guess depending on your agility and bow skills, it also drains enemies of their speed and deals 35 points of fire damage. Pretty crazy. But that's not all. If we turn around to the left-hand side where the other sack is, you can grab the Hatred's Heart Mace. Another really strong weapon, one of the best in the game. I don't think it's as good as the Hatred's Bow because that's probably the best bow in the game. The Hatred's Heart is a monster, but I don't think it's the best melee weapon, but it is definitely worth grabbing. It is still an absolute monster of a mace because it's the Daedric mace, which is already one of the strongest weapons, or maces, but also does 35 points of fire damage. At least if you got this at level 19. If you get these at a lower level, the enchantments are going to be worse and they're going to deal less damage. To the northwest of Skingrad is a location called Meridia's Shrine. This is another place you can only access if you are level 10, but if you approach the shrine, she'll ask you for an offering, which is either bone meal or ectoplasm. Ectoplasm comes from ghosts or wraiths, and bone meal comes from skeletons you find in a lot of the dungeons, or you can buy these from an alchemist like the one in the Imperial City. Offer up some bone meal or ectoplasm and she sends you over to the nearby Howling Cave to take out some necromancers. These guys can be really tough if you're early on, so an easy method to try is to get rid of one of them and then leave the cave if you want to regenerate health, come back and take out the next one, and then keep doing that again and again. Take out one, leave, do it again. If you can manage to grab one of their weapons like an elven mace or one of their staffs, you'll have a much easier time because these things are super strong, and at the very least just don't forget to grab these because they're worth a ton of money. After completing that objective to the quest, return to Meridia's Shrine where you will be rewarded with the Ring of Khajiit, which makes you invisible, or it's more of a cloaking device that gives you 35% chameleon and 10 points of speed. If you don't have a lot of your stealth skill leveled up, people are still going to see you, but it's a huge buff, especially if you're already going for that Thief or Khajiit build. If you head all the way to the west coast, or the Gold Coast, to the harbor town of Anvil, you can head towards its coast here, and off just in the water is a small island. If you follow the path leading up towards the top, you will find a rock off to the right hand side, and while facing west, you can jump off of the island into the water, where all the way down at the very bottom you'll find a special unique piece of armor, the Fin Gleam helmet. This helmet makes it just a little bit difficult to see. It's kind of alarming, but this beautiful piece of armor lets you breathe underwater. You can get it at level 1 and now have the ability to swim everywhere as long as you don't mind having 200% gamma. This next piece of armor isn't that special. It is unique, but since we're nearby, we might as well grab the boots of the eel that gives you 10% shock resistance. So for me, this is a sell right away thing, but it's found over at the Anvil Docks, so travel through the Anvil Docks gate, take a left and enter the shop called Lel's Quality Merchandise, and then head upstairs. This is where you can quickly enter the corner room, shut the door, and behind it you'll find the unique boots of the eel.
I'm Norbert Lels.
Next up we have the Brusef Emelion unique armor set. This is probably one of the most well hidden items in the game, because even if you do happen to find some of these pieces of armor, most people will miss at least one of the pieces because they're scattered throughout this cave. The location being Emelion's tomb, just north of Leyawiin, and you can get there directly from the Leyawiin Northeast Gate. And I believe the fast travel point here is open from the start of the game. So from there you just go slightly north across the river where you will find Emelion's tomb. Upon entering the tomb, it's going to be kind of confusing. There are a lot of different enemies here, skeletons and zombies mostly. I think this place is slightly easier to traverse in the remaster than it was in the original, but it can be still kind of confusing and super easy to miss these armor pieces. But just continue down this linear path up until it breaks up into two different roads on the left-hand side. We're not going to go down either of those yet. Instead, we're going to continue on straight, where once you approach this light that is gleaming into the tunnels, the roof of the cave will fall and collapse on you if you go far enough, but directly where those boulders crashed, right in front of them, you will find Brusef Emelion's gauntlets. From there, we can kind of backtrack and go back towards those split roads. The left-hand side had the skeleton, but instead we're going to go on the right-hand side, all the way down this little cave, where on the right-hand portion of it, you'll find a dead end with a coffin, and behind the coffin, you will find Emelion's boots. Continue on back towards the way we came, kind of backtracking, where we'll go down the only path that we haven't gone down yet, the one that had that archer skeleton. This is where you can pull a rope that has like a boulder weighing it down, which will open up a secret tunnel to your left side. You can take out these zombies in here if you want to. It's a little easier to traverse around once you do, but there's a chest off over to the right where there's some light gleaming down, but instead we're going to continue on to the left, where we can open up the wooden door, and immediately to our right, we will find a chest, and behind the chest will be Brusef Emelion's shield. Now we can turn around and head off to the right-hand side, passing the campfire and through the rest of the tunnels. This is where you will find a wooden door leading to the sarcophagus chamber. Defeat the skeleton, and we're going to go on the right-hand path leading straight towards all of the tombs. Where you'll find Brusef Emelion's cuirass, the chest piece, and his sword. From here, over in the right-hand corner, leading towards the exit, you will find his greaves. Now just continue on near the tunnel entrance, near those greaves, where you'll find another door, and right inside there, off to the left-hand side, behind the chest, you can pick the wisp stalks, the mushrooms. It's super well hidden, where you'll find Brusef Emelion's helmet. And that is it. I see a lot of people miss these pieces, at least one of them. Some people miss the greaves, a lot of people seem to miss the helmet, which isn't super surprising. This is one of the better light armors in the game. You could probably put up an argument for it being the best. It's a unique set of ebony armor, the chest piece having the frost shield enchantment. It's only 6%, not anything insane, but a really good unique set of armor that you can get 100% for free. By the way, if you're someone who gets confused by these, I think Oblivion's dungeons are pretty dang easy to traverse. But if you want to get out of here, just drop down that hole, and then the right-hand side path will lead toward the exit. If you set an active quest, it'll lead you right there. There is a secret ring called the Circlet of Omnipotence that is pretty much just as hidden as it was in the original. To get it, you first need to start the side quest called Lifting the Veil. The reason for this is because you need to get to an area that is only opened once you start this quest. To start it, first you need to come over to Bruma, and if you're asking citizens of Bruma about rumors, some of them will mention something about the Countess Narina Carvane, who is like the Lord of Bruma. Eventually, an NPC named Tolgan should come out and find you, who will tell you to come see the Countess, but you could also just head to her chambers by entering the door to the Great Hall. And in there, beside the Countess, you should find Tolgan. He should be somewhere around here.
Good day, I'm Tolgan.
If he hasn't come to you, speak to him, and he'll tell you to talk to the Countess, because for some reason she won't talk to you unless you talk to Tolgan first. Then you can speak to the Countess Narina, who will send you on a quest for a certain item up in the Jarl Mountains. You're pretty much on the border of Skyrim. This basically sends you over to Dragonclaw Rock, and you're supposed to find hints of where to exactly go based on the journal entries that the Countess gave you. But if you don't want to do all that, you can just head northwest, and if you're looking at the map, it says the Jarl Mountains. On the second L in Jarl is the location that we want to go. I have my marker right there. This will lead you to the Serpent's Trail. Once you get here, there might be some Spriggans and some other enemies that might put up a decent fight, but that's when you can go inside of the door leading to the entrance of the Serpent's Trail. The cave here is pretty linear. I'm not going to do an entire walkthrough of it. There are a bunch of trolls. Defeat them or just run past them, where you will enter the Pale Pass. The trail here is also very linear. There's also like a glowing effect leading you to where you need to go, and this leads you to the entrance of a castle. We really don't need to enter the castle to get the Circlet of Omnipotence. What we need to do is head just to the right of it, where just before the castle entrance, if you look off to your right, you'll find a small section of ice as well as a frozen barrel, and inside of that frozen barrel will be a rusty key. You can grab the note in here as well, but what you really need is the rusty key. And from there, you're just going to turn around, head west up towards the castle entrance, but instead of going inside, we're going to go past it, off to the left of its entrance, and up the hill and stairs leading into the actual tower. And in the center of this destroyed tower will be a tree. Hop directly down there off to the right-hand side, where you'll find a chest hidden in some bushes. It is very hard to see this unless you're down there, but using the rusty key, you can open it up to find the old key. Grab that, and then we're going to backtrack some more. Head back east towards the entrance, and back down the trail that originally got us here. This is where you will find the Forgotten Key. Grab the Forgotten Key and backtrack even more, all the way back towards the entrance that brought us to Pale Pass, the Serpent's Trail. From the Serpent's Trail entrance, you can look directly up the hill, where you will find a forgotten chest behind a rock containing the Circlet of Omnipotence. It's not an insane ring, but it does buff 4 different skills: agility, endurance, speed, and strength.